Richard Skipper celebrates. Every show is a celebration. Each show, Richard delivers the artists you love, showcasing what makes them unique. Never gossipy. The antidote to a sometimes hectic world. Now, here's your host, Richard Skipper.
Happy Thursday, everyone, and welcome to a very special edition of Richard Skipper Celebrates. I am so excited because Anita Pointer is waiting in the wings. Now, my show, for those of you who are here for the first time, I am about celebrating artists and their body of worth. What makes a great artist? How did they get from point A to point B and beyond? Well, tonight, I'm going to celebrate all things Anita Pointer. Before I bring her on, I'd like to tell you a little bit about my childhood. This is the front steps of my high school. And if you see those steps there, every afternoon during our lunch break, I used to go on the front steps and I used to perform all these great numbers that I had seen on TV the night before. Now, my theme song in high school, I just went to my 40th class reunion pre-pandemic, and they actually got me up to perform Steam Heat. Not Steam Heat as we know it from Bob Fosse's The Pajama Game, but the Pointer Sisters. And I played Anita, Bonnie, June, and Ruth. I did them all. But before I bring Anita on and celebrate her, here is our little celebration of Anita Pointer and the Pointer Sisters. I hope you enjoy.
We're here.
Well, I'm terribly sorry, ladies. I can only offer you one night. I've got a convention coming in tomorrow.
Do you have any idea who we are?
The Pointer Sisters.
Oh, look over the scene, then they cut a rug, which is really king. B, Q, and R begin to wail, especially Q, who steps on his tail. Ouch! Never step on your own tail, especially when you're dancing. Rockin' man, burning out his fuse up here alone. The hills are alive with the sound of music.
Hold it, wait a minute, you can't sing that here.
We just doing the best we can to please the man.
Right on,
Save the bones for Henry Jones, cause Henry don't eat no meat.
I know we can make it work. I know we can make it if we try. Yes, we can. I know we can. Yes, we can. Great gosh, you're right. Yes, we can.
Life is a super gig. I can dig it. Long as you got control. I got it, baby. Life is a super gig.
When you got soul, I
can dig it.
just let it roll.
I can dig it.
With a little soul.
My words say split, but my words, they lie. 'Cause when we kiss, ooh, fire.
I bet you got what you got on the side. I showed you got my cock. I know you got what you got on the side. I caught you with a twat. I bet you got what you got on the side. I showed you got my cock. I know you got what you got on the side. I bet you true tonight.
Oh, you use me, you deceive me, what? And you never seem to need me. But I bet you won't forget me when I go. Oh, no.
Who is that foxy chick?
Anita, I celebrate you.
Thank
How
you,
are
Richard.
you?
I'm great. How are you?
Well, seeing your face and having you here is truly an honor. I have to tell you,
Thank you.
you had a birthday in January, and
Sure
when I saw that
did.
it was your birthday, I reached out on your birthday to see about interviewing you, and Conrad, God bless him, got back to me immediately, and we picked this date, and I could not wait for it to get here. So thank you, thank you, thank you.
Thank you. You're so welcome. I'm so glad to be here.
Well, thank you. I want to
Yeah.
ask you before we do delve into your life and your history, how are you doing really in the midst of this crazy time that we find ourselves in?
It's not easy. I stay home all the time. I just got my second vaccine
I'm getting mine
a week
tomorrow.
ago. All right, a week ago. So I did go out to dinner last week for the first time in over a year.
Wow,
It
you
was
got
just
me
crazy.
beat.
You haven't been out yet?
Well, I've been, I go very sporadically. I haven't been out that often over the past year.
That
I
was
have.
the first time I'd gone to dinner, period, in the whole year since February of 2020. And I guess it's okay. I'm not as bad off as a lot of people because I'm such a homebody, and I love being at home.
Now, where is home for you
So,
these days?
in LA, Beverly Hills.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I have a nice house here that me and my granddaughter, and she takes good care of me. She set up all the Zoom thing for me and all the computer stuff that I don't know how to do.
Well,
So
thank her
her
very
name is
much.
Roxy. Her name is Roxy. She's here with me, and she takes good care of me. So we're still here. We've been here for 36 years. She's just 30, but I've been here for 36 years.
Well, I know that you're originally from California. You grew up in West Oakland.
Yes.
But I'm always interested in going back to the 5-year-old self, because that is that period in a person's life where all the layers of peer pressure, school, friends, everyone are there. I know
Family.
you grew up in a religious household, and your father was a minister. So tell us a little bit about your parents and growing up and your life at 5 years old.
Ooh, at 5 years old, my goodness, I can't even imagine. Our parents were very, very strict, and we couldn't go to, like birthday parties or anything. We couldn't go to anybody else's house. We only could associate with people from our church, which was the Church of God. And my daddy was the pastor. My mom was the assistant pastor. So we didn't get away with nothing. But it was really a beautiful, when I look back on it now, it was the most beautiful, beautiful growing up that I could ever imagine. They had such control. They had such patience. My dad and mom, they were so patient with us, and they gave us the opportunity to do some of the things we wanted to do. And it was just amazing how they just cared for us, and having that park right across the street helped a lot because we stayed at the park all the time, and it was just incredible. It really was. I appreciate my mom and dad because when they're growing up with 6 kids in the house,
I can imagine.
we had a lot of restrictions. We had a lot of, or you had to organize certain things, certain days for this, certain days for that. And, my brothers, they were right in there too. They had certain days they had to clean the yard and whatever. They did the garden. I never heard of a gardener. What are you kidding me? Brothers do that.
Well, last year I interviewed Sarah Dash, and Sarah Dash also, her father was also a minister, and she grew up in a very similar household where she was not able to listen to the radio unless they were listening to church music.
Gospel, only on Sunday.
Only on Sundays.
Only on Sunday. We could only listen to the radio on Sunday when Daddy would bring it out of his room because he kept it in there so we couldn't get it. And on Sunday, he'd bring it out, share it with us, and we could listen to gospel music, and that was it. That was it. We
But
couldn't
she
listen to
used
anything
to
else.
sneak off and listen to the music. Did you do the same thing, or would you?
Hey, oh yeah, oh yeah. We went to friends' houses and we, listened to Elvis and all the great Jackie Wilson and And what's his name? I can't think of it. Oh God. Anyway, we listened to everybody that we couldn't listen to at home. And then
And
you have to memorize this.
your grandparents lived in Prescott, Arkansas, but your family used to take, your family used to take these trips there. But you spent a lot of time with your grandparents. I grew up spending a lot of time with my paternal grandparents, and I know they instilled so many things in me that I still carry around to this day. But you started playing the alto sax, and I want to know, when did you last play the sax?
Oh my goodness. I haven't played it now in maybe 30 years. I have a sax though. I got myself 2 saxes. I have one antique sax and I have another one that I need to get some reeds for because I don't have any reeds. So I can't play them without the reeds. But it was such a fun playing that horn. I mean, I was in band class in Arkansas, and the teacher, he was so liberal. He was just so lenient and just let us do what we wanted to do. And we were in the parade when they have the homecoming parade in Arkansas. We were in the parade, and I learned those songs by memory. I did not read a word on that. The sheet music was in front of me, and I had it there, but I knew it by memory. So I didn't have to really look at sheet music. I knew the fingering, and I love the alto sax. I still love it. I think it's the most incredible horn, between the alto sax, drums, and bass. Whew, take me away.
If I'm not mistaken, Bonnie was the first to go out to start performing. When did the decision happen for you when you said, this is the path I want to go on?
Well, Bonnie and June had started Pointers a Pair. And my dad named them that. And they went out and they were doing hotels and clubs in Oakland. And they got connected with the Northern California State Youth Choir, which was the choir that did Oh Happy Day. And they were performing at Fillmore West in San Francisco. And I went to the show. I was working at the time at a law office. But I went to see them perform, and I said, that's it. I give up. I got to sing. I got to try it. At least it's my only chance. This could be my only chance. So,
you were working as a secretary at the time, and you left that.
I was working as a receptionist
at
Carl Matwire and Sweeney, a law office in Berkeley. Carl B. Matwire and Wilmot Sweeney, who was the vice mayor of Berkeley. And they hired me. They said they never hired any girls under 21, but they hired me anyway because I was so good.
Of course you were.
I mean, I was really a great employee. I would come in on the weekends and do things that they need done, and I didn't get no extra pay, but I loved what I did. So I would go in and do it for nothing. I wanted my work to show that it is great and you be happy. And then after I left, they wanted me back, okay? Because I quit, just kind of spontaneously, because after I saw Bonnie and June singing at Fillmore West, it was like, it's either do or die. Either you do it now or you'll never get a chance again. And that's how I felt in my head. And I got out there and said, I'm going to do this right now. And we of course we crashed. Me and Bonnie and June, we ended up going to Texas with this guy, a friend of mine, who said he knows everybody and they're gonna give you a record deal and all this stuff. So we got down to Texas. We sent all our clothes, everything we owned, we sent to Texas. We were moving there. We sent everything we owned to Texas on Greyhound bus. And we came in and we got our stuff. And this crazy man that we went there with turned on us and tried to control us. How you gonna control the Pointer Sisters?
Exactly.
Especially Anita, Bonnie, and June. 3 of us against you.
Did you have any type of chaperone separating you and this man?
No, none whatsoever. And he told us he would take us to people's offices and said, they would say, come back at 5. And we go back and the place is all locked up. Nobody there.
I've been down that path.
Oh God, we played a club in Houston called Greek Cat Nightclub and Lounge, and me and Bonnie and June were there singing as our own. You know, we were singing Chain of Fools back then, and we met this girl that invited us to come to her house because this guy the next day he put us out for some because we wouldn't obey him. Is that funny?
Oh my
He thought
God.
the Pointer Sisters was gonna obey him. Oh, come on now.
Well, I want to go
Wow.
back to when you saw Bonnie and June performing, and you said, that's what I want to do.
Yeah.
Who was the first person that you told that you wanted to do this? And what was the response that you got?
Wow. I remember, oh my God, I'm trying to remember who I told it to first. Was it David? Was it June and Bonnie? Ooh, it must have been June and Bonnie because I met up with them after the show and I was in tears. I was in tears. That choir was so good. And I wanted to be up there so bad. And when we met together after the show, I was just, oh my God, I love it. I love it. I love it. I want to be a part of it. I can't let this mess, leave me without being a part of this. And so the next day I quit my job. And
good for you. Good and good for us.
I mean, I felt it in my heart that this is the chance. This is the chance. You better take it or leave it. And I took it.
And did they have a distinct style that was unique to them at that point, or did the where did the sound?
They were doing a lot of Laura Nyro songs.
Okay.
I'm gonna go get lucky, and I sang them with them too when we started singing in San Francisco as the Pointer Sisters, and we sang at all the strip clubs in North Beach, and that was fun. We made a lot of friends.
I can imagine.
Yes.
You also lived in the Haight-Ashbury section of San Francisco, and if you can take us back to what that whole scene was like.
Oh, Pristine Condition was unbelievable. We loved him so much. I wonder where is he now? Because they had the whole Coquettes thing going in San Francisco. And we would go to all the shows. It was they were so inventive. They would do things that you've never seen in any other show ever. So beautiful. And I don't know if Pristine Condition is still there or not, but we work with them and with Sylvester.
Oh, yes.
Sylvester and his hot band. Yeah, he would dress us up. You don't have enough glitter on, girl. And he put some stuff around your head. You have to put a little more glitter down here and put some more glitter over here. Oh my God. We had some great shows. We worked with Sylvester at a church in San Francisco, which was very different. But I remember us having shows at this church.
Well,
I miss him. He was so fun. He was such a fun guy. We had some wonderful times together, and Pristine Condition was just beautiful. The stuff that we did with the Coquettes was just beautiful. Yeah. Okay.
There's something beautiful, and it doesn't feel like it at the time, but when you look back on what I refer to as the hunger years, when you're struggling and you're trying to get a name for yourself, and you're going, how did you start writing right away with the group, or did that come a little bit later?
We started. Me and Bonnie were writers. We really were. We wrote all this down. Shaky Flat Blues. We were writing about where we were living. We were living in a shaky flat that every time the buses the fire trucks go by our street, it would shake our flat. They would literally shake it. So we said, this is a shaky flat, and we wrote it a Shaky Flat Blues. Yeah, and with the song that I wrote about Fairytale, that was right there. I was living in San Francisco with Bonnie and June, and we were singing backup for Dave Mason. We went on the road with him. We went to London. Our first trip to London was with Dave Mason, and it was so wonderful. We came back, though, and he kind of like just, I don't know. We went to Woodstock with him when we came back. And I was sitting in a motel in Woodstock.
I love this story.
I was listening to James Taylor on my cassette. And I just wrote Fairytale right then and there. I wrote every verse, the hook, and then I got with Bonnie, and I said, Bonnie, you got to help me finish this song. So she came in with all the background parts and all the stuff. She was just so good. She was so good. God, I miss her.
Ugh, we all do. I'm so sorry about our loss. But this song, you both, it was very autobiographical. You really shared your story through this song. And did it really, you crossed over. Country music, you were the first African-American group to play the Grand Ole Opry.
Grand Ole Opry, yes.
And just this amazing time. And of course, Nashville, Tennessee is part of, the South. I'm from South Carolina. So I knew.
Now my cousin Paul is in South Carolina.
Where?
North Carolina. North Carolina. Okay. Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm sorry. I got
Well,
mixed
from
up.
Myrtle Beach.
South Carolina. That's beautiful. I've been there.
I think some of my classmates are watching tonight. But were you going to the Grand Ole Opry, and it really changed the entire trajectory of the Pointer Sisters. Take us back to that time, and you found out much later that there were people that were actually picketing the fact that you were at the Grand Ole Opry.
I know. I was so nervous. I was petrified. And David Rubinson was with us. And he said he whisked us past all the picketers. I didn't even notice them. I didn't even see them because I was so petrified of being at the Grand Ole Opry. I used to listen to the Grand Ole Opry at Grandma's house. That was the only station we could get. So I'd be listening to Conway Twitty and Willie Nelson and all. But what was I talking about?
About the picketers at the Grand Ole Opry.
Oh, the Grand Ole Opry. And let's see, what was I saying about that? I forgot.
That you were
being the first at the Grand Ole Opry and getting in there and not knowing that they were picketing and getting on stage and feeling so terrified because we were the only Black people in the whole building. I think, what's his name? Oh, shit. Now I'm really getting mad at myself. But there was some other person, not Willie Nelson. It was Charlie Pride.
Charlie Pride.
Charlie Pride. I think he was there. I'm not sure if he was there or not, but we didn't get to meet him that time. I met him later. But we were getting on stage and some guy hollered out from the audience, "Hot damn, them gals is Black." And then he said, "Sing it again." When we sang the song once, he said, "Sing it again, honey."
It's such a great song. And then
you're nominated again.
You were nominated for a Grammy and you won.
Can you believe that?
Absolutely, I can believe it.
Holy crap! How did this come out now? What? Can we re-release it? What the heck?
Well, speaking of releasing it, you mentioned earlier some of the people that you used to listen to on the radio. And one of the people that you mentioned was Elvis Presley. And Elvis Presley covered Fairytale.
He covered Fairytale. Oh my God, that blew me away. It really did. It just blew my mind. I was so honored and so grateful because, Black people don't get no credits in country music, and he just legitimized our song to let you know this is a good country song. And, I wrote every verse. She wrote part of the verses and part of the lyrics. We wrote it together. But it was, a mission of love. And it was on a story about a real life experience. And I'm sure Elvis probably has experienced the same things, where you use me, you deceive me, and you never seem to need me. But I bet you won't forget me when I go. That was my key. That was my line. And I said, "Hey, girl, you got a good one here."
You win the
surprised to see how many women related to that song. People were coming up to me and writing me and sending me letters saying, "This is my story too." And even Elvis said, "This is the story of my life." I was so shocked. I never got to meet him. I met his daughter, was it Melissa?
Lisa Marie. I met her at Malik's club. My nephew had a club called M&M's back in the 80s. And in Hollywood, and she was there one night, and I got a chance to meet her and tell her how much I was so grateful that her daddy did my song. And it was a big hit
that
for him
was,
as well. But years later, interestingly enough, Bruce Springsteen wrote Fire for
yeah.
Elvis Presley.
He sure did, and we did it.
And you ended up doing it.
Isn't that amazing? Oh my God. Because when we listened to the demo, they sent us a demo, and I said, this sounds like something for Elvis. Because the demo sounded just like Elvis. And then I said, Richard, maybe Ruthie should sing this song because she has that deep, low voice. He said, no, I want you to sing it. So I sang it, and it became one of our biggest hits, our first gold single ever. We had gold albums out, but never a gold single. And it was amazing to see what a difference a gold single would make, you know, from being an album. Because the albums, they go, you know, the adults. It's the adults, they buy the albums. But the kids buy the singles. You know,
Oh my God. Oh my
one
God.
song, and that's what they buy. And that's what our song went gold. And it was such an amazing difference in our booking and everything because we had a gold single with Fire from Bruce Springsteen. Thank you, Bruce. Hey.
And I also read you had a very interesting meeting with Bruce Springsteen backstage.
I sure did. Oh my God. I went to see him. I think I was in Chicago. But I sent him a note backstage. And he sent me a note back saying, and I still have it. I put it in a frame, of course. He said, come backstage and we'll talk. And I went backstage and I got a long, long line of people backstage waiting to see him. And I went up to the front of the line and they came out and they said, Miss Pointer, come on in. And I wanted to fall on my knees. Like, oh my Lord. He called me in first. And I went in there. He was still getting his massage with his fine self. So cute. But he was still getting his
There's
massage.
so many people right now. Both sexes envious of that moment for you.
What's that?
I said there's so many people of both sexes that are envious at that moment. That
right, exactly. Oh, they're envious for sure, because I had it, boy. I swear I enjoyed it to the utmost. I really did. Bruce, where are you?
So I want to go back to the sound of the Pointer Sisters. Now you crossed every genre of music. You did disco, you did pop, you did country, you did show tunes, you did everything. And of course, you know, and I grew up listening to all this music, and you were on country stations, you were on the pop stations, you were across the board, Casey Kasem playing the Pointer Sisters.
Casey Kasem, that's right. Oh my goodness.
But if you can take our listeners and our viewers back to what that era was like as far as radio stations and getting airplay and the importance of that for you as a group.
Well, you know, we didn't have the internet. We didn't have YouTube. We didn't have Facebook, none of that stuff. So if you wanted to promote your song, you had to get out there and do it. You had to be a guest at a radio station, make sure that, you know, they know that you're here, make sure they know your record is available. And you know, it was really a tough grind to get things out there now, not the way it is now. You just sit at home and just push buttons and your music goes wherever you want it to go, you know, but we had to physically go out and go visit every radio station in the country. And we had much fun doing it. We really did, because it was new for us, you know. It was something that we hadn't done. And we were young and enthusiastic. We wanted to do everything that we needed to do in order to make it to at least a point where people know who we are. And I mean, it was really not easy, but we did it and it worked. We went to radio stations like in New York, they had BLS, and Frankie Crocker was there.
Oh yeah.
And remember Frankie Crocker? He was in New York. And they told us, oh, you can't just walk in on Frankie Crocker. You have to have an appointment. We say, no, we are the Pointer Sisters and we walking in. And we walked in on his show. And he loved us from every day after that. He loved us until the day he died. He really did. He really, really did. I love Frankie. He was a dear friend.
Anita,
Yeah.
was there a particular moment as all of this is going on that you felt that we've made it? Or did you feel that you were always striving for the next level?
Always striving for the next level. I never took that for granted that we made it. No, because we didn't make it. We weren't like, these big groups, Beatles, the Rolling Stones, the Beyoncés, the Jay-Z's and their band. And, there's so many that are really, really rich now. These young kids have found a way to own and control their music, which is something the kids of my generation didn't have the chance to do. We were trying to we opened the door for them. We made sure they got a chance to get a break. But,
And I want to know who came up with the idea of the retro style that you came up with, because what you were all doing was really an homage to these girl groups from a different era. The Andrews, the McGuires.
Yeah, exactly.
And it was always glamorous. So
yeah, I loved it. I thought that. I'm sorry. Go on.
How did that all begin for you?
It began somewhat out of necessity, but we were doing it anyway. When we would go out to parties, me and Bonnie and June used to go to all the antique stores in San Francisco, Oakland, and find things that were with the designer labels that we could get for $5. And we worked it. We really did. We looked for stuff that was really unique and things that we could wear that would resemble the 40s. I love that look of the 40s. I really did. I thought it was just so perfect for us. And so me and Bonnie and June when we did our first album cover, David Rubinson said, the clothes that you guys wear when you go to parties and things like that, because those are party clothes, a dress. We always, otherwise we'd have on bell bottoms. But we wear that stuff. He said, what you're wearing at parties, we want you to bring that to the studio for your album cover. We're like, what? You mean they're not going to bring us clothes? No, bring your own clothes from home. So we brought them, and that was our first the first album cover. That was Pointer Sisters' wardrobe from our closet. Yeah, it was from our closet. So we brought that in, and David loved it. My dress that I have on here, I bought it in an antique store. The shoes I bought in London. And
I want to let everyone know you just held up your book, Fairytale. I ordered weeks ago. They told me it was going to be arriving this week. It hasn't arrived because of COVID restrictions. It slowed everything down, but I'm going to have my copy any minute now. So,
you better.
I can't wait. But I want to talk about that in just a moment. But you also were at a time in your career where the television variety show was king. And
that was it.
Your appearances, we just saw some of them on the Carol Burnett show. That's where I first discovered you and fell in love with you. Absolutely. Saturday night.
You never know who's watching.
Well, you mentioned, and I also read, you never know who's watching. You never know who's in the audience. And there have been some pivotal moments in your career where someone has come backstage and said, I want to take you to the next level.
That's right. We were at Whiskey A Go-Go singing backup for Elvin Bishop. And we would sing our butts off on his shows. They used to always tell us, don't upstage the star, because his girlfriend, Jo Baker, was the lead vocal girl singer in the group. And we came up, me and Bonnie and June, we're the backup singers. He even took us to a show of Ike and Tina Turner in San Francisco to kind of tell us that we want you to be like the Ike's. The Ike's around Tina, and his girlfriend was going to be Tina. We were like, are you kidding me?
Once again, no.
And I don't think so.
Oh my God.
With Elvin Bishop singing, and Jerry Wexler, Aretha Franklin's producer, happened to be in the audience, and he called David Rubinson that night and said, I want to sign these girls. Now that's some of that stuff out of magazines or books and fantasies that happen. But it really happened for like where you are. You never know who's listening. You never know who's in the audience. And we were thinking, we had no idea who was there, and he wanted to sign us that night.
You mentioned earlier that this first guy that came along that took you to Texas and and ended up not to be on the up and up. Now Jerry Wexler comes backstage. Were you leery of these things that he was saying to you, or did you just go, we're open, we're going to go with it?
I was leery because I didn't know who he was. I didn't know he was Aretha's producer. And, I had a baby. And June went up and told Elvin, we quit right away. He said, we got a deal and we quit. Goodbye. And I was like, June, hey, hold on a minute. I got a child. I got to make sure this whole deal is right before I just up and go, because at least I'm making some money here with Elvin Bishop. But June said, no, we through with Elvin, and we're going to get our own deal. And she was right. She was right. I listened to her, and we did it. We went to New Orleans and met Wardell Kazare, who was our producer at the time. It was Mr. Big Stuff. He produced that song. And he sent us to Jackson, Mississippi, which was a very great experience. From New Orleans to Jackson, Mississippi. And me and Bonnie and June we had to learn like 4 or 5 songs in one night. One night.
Wow.
We were up all night. And then you got to go to the studio the next day. So your voice is not the best because you've been up all night singing. So
when did the television
do that to the artists?
When did the television work start happening for all of you?
Oh, the television work was in the 70s after our first album with Carol Burnett and Midnight Special and Captain and Teal and Flip Wilson. Oh God, we started doing a lot of stuff. After we came to LA, we played the Troubadour. That really was one of the places that just broke us into Hollywood. To the movie industry, to the film industry. We got Car Wash. We're at every club in LA, and just everybody. It was really a really big thing for us to come to Hollywood, to come to LA and play the Troubadour. That was
now doing a show like Carol Burnett, which you were doing sketch comedy. You all turn out to be great actresses as well. You're doing sketches, you're doing musical numbers, you're doing costume fittings, you're doing all these things in the course of a week. Did you feel like you were being shot out of a cannon? Were you able to just enjoy what you were doing? Or was it like, come on, we got to keep moving?
Keep moving. That's what it was at that time. And it was like, you got to do what you have to do. You got this one break and you better take it and don't mess up. Don't. So we didn't. We just took every opportunity. I always said I could always do one more show. And no matter how tired I am, I can always do one more show. And so I just never stopped. We just kept going and going and going. When we were doing the Carol Burnett shows and stuff like that, we would be like on the road between the dates. They usually filmed from 5 days a week. They've packed, called out 5 days a week. And the last 2 days were filming. The other 3 days were rehearsals, and I love rehearsals. I love rehearsing. I think it's so cool. It's so good to go out there and know just what you got to do, because you rehearsed it and you got it down.
You have a favorite sketch that you did on the Carol Burnett show?
Oh, my favorite sketch. I mean, there's 2 of them. The one where we were there's so many. I loved them all. Shana Nana Nooney sisters. Our wigs flew off and we had little pickaninny hairdos. I like that one. We were the bad sisters in Cinderella getting it on. Cinderella getting it on. She was so funny. When Carol was so funny, she sang that song, Cinderella getting it on. Oh my God, it was too cute. And then Get Me to the Church on Time. My brother just sent me that video of Carol Burnett's show last week. Of us playing, doing the skit, Get Me to the Church on Time. I hadn't seen it in years. I hadn't seen it in years, and that was a whole big production that took quite a bit of rehearsal. I was really
I watched
proud that we did it so perfectly.
Now, I want to ask you, with as with any family, sisters, sibling rivalry, all of that. I'm not going to go in that direction. I'm asking this question for a reason. When it came to the decisions for the group, did it really was it balanced out? You mentioned earlier June saying we're quitting, with this group, we're moving on, and you saying no, I've got a baby, I want to stay. Did that happen a lot, or was that the exception rather than the norm?
No, that didn't happen a lot. I mean, it happened with Bonnie when she finally left, and that was in 1976. And she met a producer at Motown, and he swept her off her feet. Told he was going to make her the next Diana Ross. And he took her and just devastated us. It totally devastated the group. So.
No. Bonnie is sending a message.
And you know what? That's Bonnie's dog. I have Bonnie's dog. He's here.
Now I want to
heard her name and got pooped. Oh my God, they're so funny. They're so loud. Oh my God, they drive me crazy. I love dogs, but Jesus Christ.
Mine's in the other room. I want to talk about Fairytale, the book.
Yeah.
You and your brother Fritz wrote this book together.
Yes, he's fabulous.
What was the impetus for you to tell your story and to put it on the pages of this book?
I think we've had such an interesting life. The things we went through, from coming from preachers' kids to being pop music singers, that it was really interesting to me. So I figured it'd be interesting to some of the other people. I started writing a book 10 years ago, and we kind of figured and hummed with it, and we never got out. And so then me and my brother started, and we finally got it out last year, 2020. It was released. And it's hard to do because you're pulling up all these memories, and not all of them are good, and I had to pull up things that I didn't want to think about anymore, and it took quite a few years for us to even get this Fairytale together. And he would write, he'd send it to me, and I would go over it and send it back to him to take out this or put in that, and he'd do the same with me. And it took us quite well over a year to finish it. And
what was your process like in writing the book? Did you keep journals, as your career was unfolding and moving forward, or did you really have to rely on the memories that you had?
I did not keep journals. I kept journals back in the 70s and some of the 80s, but then all of a sudden I stopped. But those things I have, but most of them are not really.
Don't worry about it.
I didn't really keep journals that I could use to write a book. I didn't at all. And I should have. It would have really helped me. I should have done that. But I just used my memory and objects that I have that I know where they came from and how I got them, and things like that.
Now, once again, did you go to Fritz and say, I've got this idea, I want to write the book? Or did he come to you and say, you should write this a book, Anita?
No, I went to him. And I said, I got this book, deal, and we want to get it done, and I need your help.
Now, he's a professor. And
I gave him a lot of the interviews I had done 10 years ago, because I had interviewed a lot of people trying to get this thing going back then, and it didn't happen. So I just gave them to him. He's a writer, and he can put stuff into words in a way that I can't. So he took the cassette, the DVDs, or CDs. CDs are music, yeah. He took the CDs and he kind of worked them into the story. Because I had interviewed Bonnie, I had interviewed musicians and different people, that work with us through the years. So
now, you said earlier, writing a book, there are the painful memories, there are the positive memories. Some of it's cathartic, some of it's painful. How do you decide what you're going to leave in and what you're going to leave out when you're writing a book that you're going to be sharing with the world?
Well, I leave in the things that I'm happy about, the things that are positive,
Mm-hmm.
even if it's not, my best foot forward. But sometimes, I make mistakes too, and I like to let that be known as well. But basically, it's mostly, what I believe and what I want to be right.
Now, looking back over your career, I am very interested in who those mentors were and are. Some of them you've mentioned, the people who made a major impact, not only on you as a private person, but those people who made an impact on you as the artist that the world sees. Who were those people that stand out for you?
Oh, well, the first ones were the Supremes. Diana Ross and the Supremes were it. That's what we had to be. And I mean, Martha Reeves and the Vandellas, all the Motown sounds, all of them. They were I studied them. They were my school. I'd study that music and listen to it until I know every little crack, every little whatever they said, I'd know it. And Aretha Franklin and Dionne Warwick and Gladys Knight. Oh God, I love them so much. We finally got to meet Gladys Knight. She was playing the Waldorf Astoria in New York, and we all went to see her. And we all sat in the audience and cried and cried. She was so sweet. She said, "You guys are just too cute." It was like our first time in New York, and we saw her. We just started crying. But there's a lot of great ones. I mean, Burt Bacharach, he ended up being a very dear friend. And we went to see him and Anthony Newley at one time, and I think we were in Florida at the Mr. D. No, not Mr. D's. The Diplomat in Florida, and we sat in the audience then and cried because their songs are so beautiful. All the stuff that Dion did, oh my God, I just fell in love with them. Yeah, so we ended up being friends, us
and was there a moment in your career where you're all on stage, you're performing, you're looking out at that audience, and you're going, wow, this is everything I dreamed it would be?
And there were some moments like that. There were some shows that we did. One, my brother just sent me the other day a show that we did in Belgium in 2002, which was just so phenomenal. It was with the night of the proms. And we did that for several years. We went to Belgium and went to, France, England. We would travel around. We even went to East Germany. And it was 20,000 seat arenas, and they were packed every night. And it was just amazing, the shows we did and how much fun we had and how beautiful it was. I'm really grateful that I had a chance to experience that. Because it's really oh my God, it's like a dream come true. To be
now
on
the
stage
business
and just spread your arms and be all satisfied. And,
Here you are. That's amazing. Now there are the music industry has changed a lot, obviously, since you first got into the music industry. What are some of the things that you really love about the changes in the music industry? And what are some of the things that you don't like? And what are some of the things that you really miss that were there when you first started?
Well, some of the things that I do like about the new young artists that they're taking control of their music. They have their own record labels. They have their own companies. They're not, because the music industry is, I can't tell you. I don't want to start talking about it. But these young kids, they're doing their own thing. If they have to sell it out of the trunks of their cars, they're doing their own thing, and they're making a whole lot of money because music sells, and they know that, and they take all this stuff from the artists and just sell it all over the world and give you a penny. Here's a penny for you. No, that's not fair. And these young kids are not putting up with it, and I appreciate that. I really, really do.
Now, I have a question that I'd like to ask you, and I'm only talking about the career aspect of your life. I'm all about celebrating artists, so I don't want to mention any names or anything negative in this situation, but what was the most difficult thing that you had to get through in your career And again, I'm talking specifically your career. And how did you get through this? I'm always interested on getting through the fire, if you will, to the other side.
I guess the most difficult thing was when Bonnie left. We had been going, we had success, we had gold albums, we were doing great, and she met this guy who, they always do that. I'll take you out the group. And that was the most devastating thing in the career, and that was in '76.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that was one of the most at that time that happened, and we didn't know what we were going to do. Me and Ruthie, and when Bonnie left, June said, "I'm leaving too." And Bonnie, they were like this. They were so tight, Bonnie and June. He said, "If you leaving, I'm going to do goodbye." And so me and Ruthie were stuck just by ourselves, saying, "What in the hell are we going to do?" And we got this manager, Forrest Hamilton, who really worked with us and tried to get us some things in Vegas, and just trying to help us build something. And he finally found out that Steve Wax at the record company, Electra Atlantic, WEA, Warner Electric Atlantic, they were signing a new group. And actually, they had a producer that knew a producer who was opening a new label. Richard Perry Steve Wax told us about Richard Perry. He was opening a new label and he needed an act to launch his label. And he thought about us and picked us. He heard what we had done before.
I want to go back to where we started with 5-year-old Anita Pointer. Now, with everything that's happened in your life, what would you say to that 5-year-old little girl?
Oh, that you did some good things, girl. You really did. And you should be proud of what you've done, because it blew me away. It really did. I'm so amazed at what we've done and how we came through it all. It's a beautiful story. It really is.
Well, you are such a beautiful person. I am so thrilled that you said yes to me tonight. We are at the end of our program. Don't go anywhere. I want to say a few words. First of all, everyone, thank you for being here tonight. I hope you all enjoyed this experience as much as I did. If you did, please leave a comment on YouTube. Hit the like button. If you're not a subscriber already, hit the subscribe button. The more you tell people about this, the bigger our audience gets. And, as my dear friend David Friedman says, we're all in this together, but we're not in the same boat. I also want to let you all know that if you are around tomorrow at 5 o'clock, after I get my second COVID shot, I'm going to be celebrating the career of Sidney Lumet. Tomorrow marks the 9th anniversary of his passing. And Morris Spiegel has written a wonderful book chronicling his career, starting out in the Yiddish theater, all the film work that he's done. 12 Angry Men is still one of my favorite films. So I'm very, very excited. I also want to let you all know about Anita Pointer and Fritz Pointer's Fairytale. I will be putting the details in the comments section on Facebook and YouTube and everywhere that you can see this. Please, please, please. This is what I want you to do. I want you to go to Amazon.com and I want you to order 2 copies of this book. Keep one for yourself
and one for a friend.
One to a friend.
Isn't that wonderful? That's a great idea.
And we're going to keep the music flowing and playing and everything. Anita, I want to thank you so much for the gifts.
Thank you, Richard. My pleasure.
I was listening to your music all day today. This has been such an honor for me. But I'm going to give you the final word. Anything that you want to say to expound upon anything that we talked about tonight, anything that we didn't say that you wish that we had, or just any message that you want to put out to everyone who's watching now. And again, thanth you. You're always worth it.
A message is to please go get Fairytale. And and also we have 2 other books coming out. Me and Roxy and Melissa, we put together this catalog, and this is all the clothes that are in the Hollywood Museum. Donnell, and plus more. Donnell Danigan let me have the second
Love,
floor of
love,
the
love
Hollywood
Cornell.
Museum. And it is fabulous. Clothes from the 70s, 80s, 90s, all the wardrobe Pointer Sisters wore. And it's in the museum, and you've got to see it. And also, yeah, I collected it. I collected it all from the 70s. I saved stuff, and I had storage all those years because I know I wanted to keep it. And I put it up, and I'm so grateful for Donnell to give me a place to exhibit it. And I also we have a book called Special Things, because I'm a collector. I collect stuff. And I collected Black memorabilia. And I've got it from all over the world, from Germany, from Paris, from Australia, New Zealand. Everywhere you go, you find that Black memorabilia. And I found it, and I brought it, and I put it in a collection. And we're thinking about doing an auction next year. So Roxy, my granddaughter, who handles everything, she's putting it together for next year for our auction house. Yeah, he said, "Thank you, Roxy." Oh, you
Well, I
heard.
want to ask you, before I let you go, I mean, you are a collector. Out of all that you've collected from all over the world, what is your prized possession?
Dancing Sam. He was the first thing I got in a little antique store on the way from Little Rock, Arkansas to Prescott, where my mother grew up, Prescott. And we were driving there, and I saw this big antique mall on the side of the road. I said, I gotta go in there. We stopped. I always liked antiques. You know, that's one, it's a thing. Getting But we went in, and I found this doll. He's on a stick, and he's a black doll with white lips. And he dances. You put a stick on this piece of plywood, and he just dances. He just goes. He's all got, hinge shoulders and legs, and he just goes. And the packaging says hours and hours of fun for your children.
Was that the first thing you collected?
Oh, yes.
And do you think that you'll be able to let go of that?
I couldn't believe it. I went on and just started collecting everything after that. I got all kind of cookie jars and salt and pepper shakers and dolls and oh, I know. That's the thing. It's so hard to let go of it because there's so much wonderful stuff and I love it. But I do want to let go of it because so much of it is bubble wrapped and numbered and put away because I got thousands of pieces and I can't put them all out. So we're going to try to do an auction. Roxy's going to help me try to weed out some of the things we can feel okay about giving away.
Well, if there's anything I can do to help you, don't hesitate to ask. I'll get the word out.
Thank you. All right, Richard. Thank you, dear. Okay.
Yes. So again, thank you. You truly are the best.
Oh,
I love
thank you,
And
Richard.
again, I'm so excited.
Me too.
Have a great night and a wonderful tomorrow.
You too, dear. Pleasure to be with you today. Thank you, dear.
You.
Bye-bye.
Goodbye.